Our next guest warns that a Secretary Romney would leave Mr. Trump's supporters feeling betrayed, suggesting in a Fox op-ed today on FoxNews.com, quote, President-elect Trump should get up every day and begin by looking at his own campaign promises. He owes his presidency to the people who believed in him, not to the courtiers and schmoozers who had contempt for him as a candidate, but adore him now that he's going to be president. Newt Gingrich is a former House Speaker and author of the book Treason. Mr. Speaker, good to see you tonight. So you've called this potential appointment as Mitt Romney as Secretary of State a huge mistake and even outrageous. To those who say, all right, you know, Donald Trump knows what he's doing. This could be a counterbalance to some of the more, you know, hardliners in the administration he's creating. How do you justify those comments?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, President-elect Trump can pick anyone he wants. He is going to be president. If he picks Romney, I'll support it because he has the right to build a cabinet he wants to have. But as long as we're discussing the possibility, I think it's a disaster. I think, first of all, Romney's not like the team of rivals around Abraham Lincoln. None of the team of rivals opposed Lincoln in the general election. Romney fought against Trump every single step of the way and fought against him with really vicious language. I mean, if you look at the things that Romney said about Trump, you'd have to say to yourself, I don't care how good a schmoozer he is, why would you believe him? I mean, if he comes in now and says, you know, all those mean, vicious things I said about you, I didn't really mean it. Give me a break. Again, this is not the same as somebody who's a competitor.
Let me challenge you on this.
Sure.
Even Kellyanne Conway said some very vicious things about Donald Trump. You know, maybe very vicious is too much of a stretch, but she attacked him because she was a Ted Cruz supporter.
Of course.
You know, that kind of thing tends to happen. And then they're both Republicans. They come together after the election. Mitt Romney and Donald Trump, reportedly, Donald Trump had a lot of respect for the way Mitt Romney ran Bain Capital. And Mitt Romney and Donald Trump have a mutual friend who tried to broker this alliance, according to a very interesting report today in the Washington Post. So can't that happen?
Sure. Look, I have no doubt, for example, that Speaker Paul Ryan very much favors Mitt Romney. Romney picked him to be the vice presidential candidate. They are very close personally. Reince Priebus, who was a great National Committee chairman, is very, very close to Ryan and was National Committee chairman during a period when Romney was the nominee. So there are a lot of different things going on here. I'm only suggesting that when you have potentially a Rudy Giuliani, you have an Ambassador Bolton, you have a wide range of people you could reach out to decide that the person, and if you go back and you play the tone, the hostility, the contempt of the Romney speeches, and these were whole speeches. These
you're right.
You know, it's pretty hard to imagine.
That is absolutely true. He went after Trump harder than anybody.
Well, you have to say to yourself, why would Trump believe that Romney's going to be Trump's Secretary of State? I know he wants to be Secretary of State, but my hunch is he'll turn out to be Romney's Secretary of State.
So we're going to see, because this is their second meeting, and we're told that their wives also met tonight. I want to ask you, though, because you had a couple, first about this critique you had for the president-elect, and then I want to talk to you about the advice you had for him in his column. The first thing you said that was his biggest misstep in the 3 weeks since he won was that post on Twitter about widespread voter fraud in this election.
Sure.
Why was that so bad, where he asserted that he would have won the popular vote had it not been for allegedly a couple million illegal votes?
Well, first of all, there's absolutely no proof that there were a couple million illegal votes. Second, there's a new standard now. He's about to be President of the United States, really the leader in many ways of the entire planet, the most powerful country in the world. And there's a standard of calm, accurate, clear. Now, I'm for him tweeting. I think tweeting is very effective for him. I think it's a big part of who he is. But I really do think he needs an editor. And occasionally somebody needs to say to him, oh, maybe not this one. And I just thought it's not that one tweet, but it's what it signals about the lack of self-discipline and the lack of focus that I think as president he has got to acquire. Because the world has to have a sense of reliability that when Donald Trump speaks, that there's a certainty and an accuracy that they can count on every single day, 365 days a year. And that's a big challenge.
Right. The gravity of that office requires, you know,
Right.
It comes with a lot of responsibility. Let me ask you this. So you've been there. I mean, you were the head of the Contract with America when the Republicans took over the House in 1994. And so you've seen a president come into office and govern and reach across the aisle and get things done. And you were part of that. You talk about in this Fox News piece that reasonableness will be the death of Trumpism. Reasonableness. Explain what you mean by that.
Look, Washington has a whole range of reasonable things. The culture of the Foreign Service is a disaster, but reasonable people know you can't really fix it. The civil service and the Veterans Administration is corrupt, and is filled with people who don't do their jobs. It's filled in some cases with people who literally have criminal records, but reasonable people know you can't really reform the civil service. You go down this list, we know the Congressional Budget Office is a joke. Its estimates are a total disaster. It was totally wrong about Obamacare, but reasonable people know you have to use it because it's the only thing we have, even if it's totally wrong. You just go down this list of reasonables, and every reasonable statement moves you to selling out and keeping the swamp full. It doesn't drain the swamp, it keeps it full. When I became Speaker, I sort of shocked the city, because in my first speech at the Heritage Foundation on the Friday after the election, I said, that I will cooperate, but I will not compromise. I had been elected to do the things in the Contract with America. I've been elected to balance the budget. I had been elected to reform welfare, and I'd cooperate to get it done, and I think Bill Clinton and I did a pretty good job. But I wasn't going to compromise on our goals. Well, Donald Trump has a contract with the American voter, which he outlined, I think, brilliantly at Gettysburg. He has the vision of a New Deal for African Americans, which he outlined in Charlotte. If he's going to get those things done, he's going to have to be unreasonable with a city which is a swamp, because the swamp doesn't want to be drained. I mean, nobody in Washington is running around saying, oh, please come in here and change everything. They're saying, how do we slow him down? In the Pentagon, the term for the political appointees is the summer help. How do we outlast them? Oh, the summer help wants to do something. Well, they'll be gone soon. And that kind of slow walking's true across the whole city.
Speaker Gingrich, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good to be with you. Thank you.